morning, friends. I'm Lisa Levenger from Accelerated Literacy Learning, and I'm thrilled to welcome you this morning by saying to you, all for poetry and poetry for all. We are knee-deep in our poetry study, and we're now rounding the home stretch and into our revision stage. Yesterday, Lorene shared a checklist with you on different items that you can add to revise, to relook at your poems. You now have a folder full of poems. Haikus, odes, free verse, poems with repetitive phrases, poems with imagery, poems with beautiful language, poems that engage the senses, and we are now ready to look at those poems again. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at how poets are always on the search for the perfect word. Poems require very few words to really get their point across. So poets, knowing that they have just an economy of words and that every word matters, really have to lift and sprinkle the right word into their poems. So today we're going to look at words and how that each word, if it's matches the sense that you're trying to convey in your poem, really is important. In fact, words are so important that I collect words in a box that I call my beautiful language box. I want to share some of those words with you this morning. Some of the words that have made their way into my beautiful language box. Words that I either love the meaning of, or I love the sound of, or that are important to me, are words like the word hopeful. I say it at the end of every one of our sessions because I truly feel like that's a very important word. The word flick. I just love the sound of it. And I love the visual that comes with flicking something. So that word is also in my beautiful language box. I would say that fall is my very favorite season. So the word pumpkin. I love the sound of it. Pumpkin. And the image of a pumpkin and what it recalls for me of the season when there are pumpkin lattes and pumpkin pies, and the smell of fall just really makes me happy. So the word pumpkin has made its way into my beautiful language box. Lavender. Automatically just a soothing word, lavender. It's a color, it's a smell to me. Again, fragrant. Just a great word. The F sound is really hard. Fragrant. And it also stirs up a lot of emotion for me. Twist. It's just a simple word, but instead of saying pull or push, twist. So that's also in my beautiful language box. Another favorite of mine is the word peer. It has two meanings, to look at something or a friend. So the word peer has also made its way into my beautiful language box. And of course, who doesn't love the word marshmallow? It's funny sounding, it evokes great memories. Whenever I can write a poem that makes its way into meaning anything that I can pull up the word marshmallow, it's going to be a good poem. So poets, I invite you to also grab a box or even a Ziploc and label it beautiful language and become a collector of words. This is something that you can do beyond this month of April, this National Month of Poetry, that you can really put into your toolkit of being a lifelong poet. So, I was talking about words, and this is something that you can do starting today. What I want to do is actually start to revise my poem called Rock, and to do it by looking at some of the ordinary words I've used in this poem, and invite us to actually search for some extraordinary words to replace that ordinary word. Because every word in poetry counts, I want to make sure every one of those words is extraordinary. So this poem that I'm going to share with you today is called Rock, and it was a poem that I used from my nature box. I grabbed a rock, and it was gray, and it was gray and white, and it had some crystals inside. And I did a lot of metaphors in this poem. So the poem starts like this. Rock, dark like the night, rough like long days at home. The rock is hope, hugging my dreams in the center. So let that kind of poem hang in the air there for a minute. I really like the imagery of this poem. I feel pretty solid about that. I like the use of the metaphors. I'm really happy that I threw a simile in there with the rock is hope, and then I personified with my hugging my dreams in its center. But I'm not thrilled with the word long. So what I'm going to do is just grab my favorite pink pen, and I'm just going to kind of underline that word long. It's not feeling extraordinary enough for this poem. It's not something that would belong in the beautiful language box. So I'm going to take the word long and put it on an index card. It's the word that I would like to replace. And then I'm going to fold this index card into 4 different sections. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with 4 different alternatives for the word long. So in this poem, rough like long days at home, long isn't really only meaning the length of something, but it's really meaning for me the word boring. So I'm going to write the word boring as an option for replacing the word long. So rough like boring days at home. I don't know. Let me play around with that. I'm going to come up with another alternative. So something you can also always do when you're looking at a word and you want to replace it is you can do the opposite. So the opposite of long would be short. So I'm going to put in short. That doesn't make sense. Rough like short days at home. So I might put rough like not short days at home. Okay, that's another alternative. Not like loving that, but that's definitely a possibility. Okay. Rough like, I don't know, stretchy days at home. Days that kind of keep stretching and are endless in their ability to keep stretching. That's another alternative. And then rough like, oh, here's another word for long, elongated. Poets, one thing you can do is if you're searching for words, there's a wonderful resource if you just look in a thesaurus. So if you're stuck for how to replace a word that feels ordinary with a word that's more extraordinary, feel free to search in a thesaurus. That's the exact purpose of a thesaurus. So what I do now is now I take each of my words and I put it right next to that word I want to replace. So rough like long days. So let me try rough like boring days at home. It works. It's not my favorite. Rough like not short days at home. Feeling ordinary. Rough like stretchy days at home. I actually like that. I like it. I have to play around with that. I don't know if rough like stretchy. I don't know if that's feeling like it works so much. Let me try that last word, elongated. Rough like elongated days at home. Actually, that really works for me. Okay, so I'm going to change an ordinary word like long, and now I'm going to replace it with the word elongated. So I'll put it right here on the side. And so when I recopy my poem, because I'm moving from the revision to editing, right? Because I'm looking at my poem again to make it better, I'm going to move it into, now permanently moving it into this poem, because I really like the way that sounds. Rough like elongated days at home. So the poem reads like this. Rock, dark like the night. I really like that image. Rough like elongated days at home. That really works for me. The rock is hope, hugging my dreams in its center. I really love that. So, Poetry Pals, what you now need to do is if you love a word, you grab a fresh index card, you write it, and if it's an extraordinary word, a word that you really love and care about, you're going to want to copy it and put it into your beautiful language box. So, your job today is to take one of the poems you've written over the past month, go through it, and make sure each of the words, because each word in poetry really counts, make sure each word is really extraordinary. Not just ordinary words. You want to really make sure that each of those words pops and is worthy of being in your beautiful language box. So, good luck as you reread your poems. You're on the hunt for extraordinary words, and you replace them with words that are worthy of your beautiful language box. I can't thank you enough for coming and spending this morning with me. As always, I thank you so much for our time together. We're in the home stretch of it all. Friday, we'll get together and we'll announce the winners of our first annual poetry contest. And I want to remind you to be safe, be kind, and be hopeful. Bye, everybody.